Welcome to our historical journey back to the year 1066, a turning point in English history. The Battle of Hastings, fought on October 14, 1066, forever changed the fate of England. It was a clash between the Norman French army led by William and the English army under King Harold Godwinson. The battle was the culmination of a succession struggle that ensued after the death of King Edward the Confessor. Harold was crowned king, but faced fierce opposition from William, his own brother Tostig, and the Norwegian king Harald Hardrada. As the invaders landed on the shores of England, Harold's forces had to quickly mobilize to defend their homeland. They marched south, gathering reinforcements along the way. On that fateful day, approximately 7 miles northwest of Hastings, the two armies clashed in a brutal conflict. The English army, composed mostly of infantry, faced the mixed forces of the Normans, including cavalry and archers. The battle raged from morning until dusk. The initial attempts by the invaders to break the English lines were unsuccessful, but the Normans devised a clever strategy, pretending to retreat and luring the English into a vulnerable position. It was during these chaotic moments that King Harold met his demise, leading to the retreat and defeat of the English forces. William emerged victorious, solidifying his claim to the English throne. Join us as we delve deeper into the events surrounding this legendary battle and uncover its lasting impact on the English nation. In the year 911, a group of Vikings led by Rollo was granted permission by Charles the Simple to settle in Normandy. Surprisingly, their settlement thrived as they embraced the local culture, adopted Christianity, and intermarried with the indigenous population. Over time, the territory of Normandy expanded. Fast forward to 1066, and England found itself in a succession crisis following the death of King Edward. Many contenders vied for the throne, including Harold Godwinson, the powerful Earl of Wessex. However, he faced challenges from Duke William of Normandy, who claimed that Edward had promised him the throne, and Harald Hardrada of Norway, who believed he had a rightful claim based on an agreement. The stage was set for a dramatic clash of ambitions. Tostig Godwinson, Harold's exiled brother, launched raids in southeastern England while gathering forces, and Harald Hardrada invaded the north with a massive fleet. The story was about to take a thrilling turn with battles, alliances, and the fate of England hanging in the balance. William, a determined and ambitious leader, undertook the arduous task of assembling a formidable invasion fleet and army to conquer England. He meticulously gathered forces from Normandy and various regions of France, including Brittany and Flanders. This endeavor required nearly 9 months of intensive preparation, during which William had to construct an entire fleet from scratch. While the historical accuracy of certain claims remains debated, it is said that William also secured diplomatic support for his campaign. One famous account suggests that Pope Alexander II offered a papal banner as a symbol of endorsement, although this claim is not corroborated in contemporary sources. In April 1066, a significant celestial event occurred as Halley's Comet made its appearance in the sky, capturing the attention of people throughout Europe. Contemporary accounts linked the comet's sighting to the ongoing succession crisis in England, adding a mysterious and prophetic element to the events unfolding. William assembled his forces at Saint-Valery-sur-Somme, eagerly preparing to cross the treacherous English Channel by around the 12th of August. However, the crossing was delayed, either due to unfavorable weather conditions or to avoid interception by the powerful English fleet. Ultimately, the Normans successfully sailed to England a few days after Harold's victory over the Norwegians and landed at Pevensey in Sussex on the 28th of September. A few ships, blown off course, ended up at Romney, where the Normans encountered and clashed with the local fyrd. After establishing their presence on English soil, William's forces wasted no time in fortifying their position. They swiftly constructed a wooden castle at Hastings, which served as a strategic base from which they conducted raids on the surrounding area. Additional fortifications were erected at Pevensey to bolster their defenses. The exact size and composition of William's force remain unknown. While a contemporary document claims he had 776 ships, this number is likely exaggerated. Contemporary writers provided widely divergent figures for the size of his army, ranging from 14,000 to 150,000, though modern historians offer more realistic estimates. These range from 7,000 to 8,000 men, including 1,000 to 2,000 cavalry, to approximately 10,000 to 12,000 men, or even a figure of 7,500 men. William's forces comprised roughly half infantry, a quarter cavalry, and a quarter archers or crossbowmen. The soldiers donned chainmail hauberks, knee-length garments with slits for mobility, and some were made of scales attached to a tunic, crafted from metal, horn, or hardened leather. Their headgear commonly consisted of conical metal helmets with a vertical band protecting the bridge of the nose. Both horsemen and infantry carried shields, with infantry shields being round and wooden, reinforced with metal. As for weaponry, horsemen used kite-shaped shields and lances, although the challenging terrain at Hastings likely restricted long cavalry charges. Swords, straight and double-edged, were the primary weapons for both infantry and cavalry, although infantry could also wield javelins and long spears. It is believed that some cavalrymen may have favored maces over swords. Archers, who typically lacked armor, employed self-bows or crossbows in combat. While these details provide us with a glimpse into the arms and equipment of William's forces, the specific identities of his companions at the Battle of Hastings remain somewhat elusive. Later lists exist, but many are inflated with additional names. Only around 35 individuals can be confidently identified as having fought alongside William during this pivotal engagement. The English army in the 11th century was organized based on regional divisions, with local men serving under local leaders such as earls, bishops, or sheriffs. This force, known as the Fyrd, consisted of land-owning men who were provided with equipment by their communities to fulfill the king's military demands. The Fyrd operated at the 100 level, and England could typically supply around 14,000 men when the Fyrd was called upon. The king also had a group of personal armed men called housecarls, who were the main force of the royal army. Some earls had their own housecarls as well. Thanes, the local elites who owned land, either fought alongside the housecarls or joined the forces of an earl or magnate. Harold, the English king, had stationed a large army and fleet on the south coast of England in 1066, waiting for an invasion by William of Normandy. However, he dismissed the militia and fleet, consisting mostly of farmers who needed to harvest their crops. When he learned of a Norwegian invasion led by Harold Hardrada and his brother Tostig, Harold hurried north to confront them. He successfully defeated the Norwegians at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, but his own army suffered heavy losses. After the victory, Harold left a portion of his forces in the north and marched the rest of his army south to face the threatened Norman invasion led by William. It is unclear when Harold learned of William's landing, but it was likely during his march. He stopped in London for about a week before continuing towards Hastings. Harold's army camped at Caldbeck Hill on the night of October 13th, not far from William's castle at Hastings. Harold attempted to surprise the Normans, but William's scouts spotted the English army. The exact events leading up to the Battle of Hastings are uncertain, but all accounts agree that William's army advanced from his castle towards Harold's defensive position atop Senlac Hill, about 6 miles away. The exact number of soldiers in Harold's army at Hastings is unknown, as contemporary records provide conflicting figures. Some Norman sources greatly exaggerate the numbers, while English sources may underestimate them. Modern historians estimate the English army to have consisted of between 5,000 and 13,000 troops, with the majority being a mix of Fyrd levies and housecarls. The core of the army was made up of housecarls, who were professional soldiers equipped with helmets, mail hauberks, shields, and battle axes.
Away ahead.
On the 14th of October in the year 1066, a battle of epic proportions unfolded. It was a clash that would forever shape the course of history. Picture the scene, the morning mist hanging low over the hallowed grounds, anticipation filling the air like a tangible force. This was the day when destiny would be decided. A cunning and ambitious leader, his eyes fixed on victory. His meticulous strategy came to life as he deployed his forces with precision. With archers positioned at the front ranks, their deadly arrows poised to rain down upon the enemy, he planned to weaken their resolve before the ground assault began. William understood that a calculated combination of ranged attacks and close combat would tip the scales in his favor. The first volley of arrows soared through the air, aimed at the formidable English shield wall. But to William's dismay, the uphill angle and the strength of the Saxon defenses thwarted the effectiveness of his archers. The arrows either clattered harmlessly against the impenetrable shields or sailed over the hill, missing their mark. The Normans quickly realized the grave disadvantage they faced. The Saxons had few archers of their own, rendering the replenishment of arrows impossible. Undeterred, William ordered his infantry to charge forward, prepared to face the fury of the Saxons head-on. As they advanced, a storm of spears, axes, and stones rained down upon them, unleashed by the Saxon housecarls. The Norman foot soldiers faltered, unable to withstand the ferocity of the Saxon onslaught. It seemed as though victory was slipping through William's grasp, but he was not one to surrender easily. Determined to turn the tide, William unleashed his cavalry in a desperate bid to support his faltering infantry. However, the Saxon housecarls proved to be an indomitable force, stopping the thundering hooves of the Norman horses dead in their tracks. The entire Norman line trembled under the relentless assault, and an air of defeat swept through the ranks. Chaos and confusion spread like wildfire when a rumor circulated that Duke William himself had fallen in battle. Yet the mark of a true leader lies in the face of adversity. Sensing the waning morale, William, like a beacon of hope, rode through his army, revealing his unwavering determination. The soldiers, witnessing their resolute leader in the flesh, found renewed strength within themselves. In a swift maneuver, William seized the opportunity to launch a counterattack against the pursuing Saxons on the left flank. With unmatched ferocity, the Normans crushed their enemies, leaving no survivors in their wake. It was a decisive blow that fractured the unity of the Saxon forces. Exploiting the fractures in the Saxon lines, the Normans launched a relentless assault, both infantry and cavalry converging along the entire front. The Saxons fought valiantly, but their struggle to hold their position was evident. The Normans, utilizing their massed archers once again, unleashed a barrage of arrows that pierced the air, weakening the Saxon resolve with every strike. In a climactic moment, the Norman cavalry charged through the gaps that had formed in the Saxon shield wall, breaking their impenetrable defense. The last bastion of Saxon resistance crumbled as Harold, his brothers, and the valiant housecarls fell in battle. The casualties on both sides were staggering, blood staining the earth beneath their feet. The Saxon nobles and the majority of the housecarls met their tragic end. As the dust settled, the true cost of victory became apparent. The Norman cavalry was decimated, and the infantry, having endured the brunt of the battle, suffered heavy losses. The Saxons, too, paid a grave price, with estimates of 3,000 to 4,000 lives lost. The Normans, perhaps slightly fewer, had their own losses to mourn. Thus, the Battle of Hastings concluded, leaving an indelible mark on the pages of history. William's unwavering determination and strategic brilliance had carried the day, forever changing the fate of England. The clash of armies, the valor displayed, and the sacrifices made would be remembered for generations to come, a testament to the unyielding spirit of warriors who fought on that fateful day.